Okay, I have to tell you, I was just looking on eBay where I go for all kinds of things I love, and there it was.
That hologram trading card. One of the rarest, the last one I needed for my set. Shiny like the...
designer handbag of my dreams. One of a kind. eBay had it, and now everyone's asking, ooh, where'd you get your...
windshield wipers. eBay has all the parts that fit my car. No more annoying, just beautiful.
Whatever you love, find it on eBay. eBay. Things people love.
This episode is brought to you by United Airlines. When you want to make the most of your vacation, book with United. They're an airline that cares about your travels as much as you do. United is transforming the flying experience with Bluetooth connectivity, screens, power at every seat, and bigger overhead bins to help fit everyone's bag. And with their app, you can skip the bag check line, get live updates, and more. Change the way you fly. Book your next trip today at united.com.
Had it been a couple of $100 like you thought it would be, would you have expected him to pay?
Either way, I would have thought he would have wanted to do something, being that it happened under his watch and at the facility. And I mean, I can backtrack, and when I asked how did it happen, they said, well, it was overfeeding. And I said, oh.
This is the plaintiff, Lauren Solander. She says she had to board her dog Rooster at the defendant's facility because she needed to go out of town, and while Rooster was there, he was bitten by another dog. No one even called her to tell her what happened. She had to find out about it when she picked him up. And this guy needs to pay her for the vet bills and expenses she now has, in the amount of $1,344.35. This is the defendant, Jack Lavasio. He says Rooster tried to steal food from another dog and a little scuffle broke out. He checked Rooster out thoroughly. He had no bite marks and he wasn't bleeding. He runs a cage-free facility. He did nothing wrong and is simply not liable for the behavior of the plaintiff's dog. He's accused of bad boarding.
All parties, please raise your right hand.
What you are about to witness is real. The participants are not actors. They are actual litigants with a case pending in civil court. Both parties have agreed to drop their claims and have their cases settled here before Judge Marilyn Milian in our forum, the People's Court.
People's Court is now in session. The Honorable Judge Marilyn Milian is presiding. Litigants have been sworn, Your Honor.
Thank you, Douglas.
You're welcome, Your Honor.
All right, Ms. Solander, you're suing Tiny Treasure puppies, also known as Wilton Waggarts?
Correct.
Okay. Owned by Mr. Lavasio?
Yes.
All right. For $1,344.35 in vet bills and reimbursement of your boarding fee because your dog was bitten under his care. Can you tell me, how is it that you... Oh, what a cute dog. What's your dog's name?
His name is Rooster.
Rooster. And how old is Rooster?
He's almost 10.
Okay. And have you boarded Rooster at that facility before?
Yes.
How many times?
Boarding, I'd say maybe twice before, but he was a frequent flyer in daycare for a couple of months.
Okay, daycare. All right, because you would leave the dog there to socialize while you...
I was working in the area.
Okay. All right, so what happened?
Good question. I had my dog at the boarding facility because my mom was ill. It was a last-minute thing. Jack had taken care of Rooster before, so I felt somewhat comfortable bringing him there again. Of note, he's got separation anxiety, which he takes medicine for, so I'm a little more concerned with him. So I texted him every day, asking him how he is. How is he? Everything's fine. He's great. He remembered us. All's well. Okay. I come back to pick him up, and he wasn't there. They bring him up, and they said, we just want to let you know that he was bit. And they show me a mark on the back.
Do you have pictures of it when... Is this the picture of it when you saw it? Or this is after it's shaved at the vet?
That was after it was shaved at the vet.
Do you have any pictures of it as you saw it on when they returned the dog to you? No,
Okay, I gotcha. All right, so go on.
And they said, well, Jack said to just put some bacitracin on it. It's no big deal. And, all is well. I took him home, and he clearly was not himself. He was lethargic. His voice was hoarse. He just wasn't himself. And I thought, well, maybe it's just the stress of, playing all day or whatever else. I texted him, and he says, well, he was fine when I left him. Well, the next day, I'm, massaging him. He's a lap dog, so he's always on my lap. And I feel this lump on his neck. And I said, And I thought, well, maybe
had you put the back to what?
Bacitracin?
Yeah.
Well, I wasn't notified of anything on his neck, only on his back.
Okay, so what did you feel on his neck?
It was a lump.
Okay.
It was a lump on his neck.
Was that from an infection from the?
Well, it turned out to be, yes.
Yeah. All right. So they're not going to notify you because it wasn't there yet.
Right.
So the answer is no, that you hadn't put the bacitracin.
I put the bacitracin on the back.
Oh, that's what I'm asking.
Yes, I did.
All right. So go on.
But the neck, I didn't because I didn't know anything about the neck. So I thought, well, maybe it was just due to, how they play bite, whatever. The next day, I felt it again, and then I looked closely, and I see that it's oozing substance. And I said, oh, no, this is not good.
So are you saying there was another bite mark in the neck?
That's what it turned out to be.
Okay.
So I rushed him to the vet at that point. It was a Saturday. My vet had already closed. I went to the emergency vet, and they said, I thought it was only going to be a couple $100 visit. They said, oh, no, this is an infected bite. We need to go in there. We need to put him under and see what's going on. And he required stitches. And they said, that was definitely a bite
So
wound.
the stitches didn't happen in the back. The stitches happened in the neck?
It happened on the neck. So what turned out, the back wasn't really much of anything. It was the neck that was the issue.
And neither the
no one told me anything
workers that were there nor you noticed the neck until the next day?
Well, I didn't even think to look at the neck because he just told me, well, not he.
Well, the dog is about a foot long. I mean, and it's a lap dog, so you're constantly feeling it up. So I'm trying to figure out, okay, so go on.
So while he was there being anesthetized, I call up the defendant to let him know, hey, I'm here at this hospital. This is what's going on. I'm really upset that, this is going to be, a really expensive visit. And
had it been a couple of $100 like you thought it would be, would you have expected him to pay?
Either way, I would have thought he would have wanted to do something, being that it happened under his watch and at the facility. And I can backtrack. And when I asked how did it happen, they said, well, it was overfeeding. And I said, oh. And I have a text where he said, they were feeding, and I looked up and I noticed that, a fight ensued. And I'm saying, looked up, so you're feeding them in the same facility.
I'm sorry, hold on. I need to understand a little bit more about where you think you left your dog. What kind of, is it a home or is it, no, it's a business.
It's a business.
And did you think your dog would be caged?
No.
Okay, so you knew your dog would be in contact with other dogs?
Yes, obviously, but not while feeding.
Not while feeding?
No.
Where are they going to put him if they don't have cages?
Well, I'm in separate areas or in kennels just at the time of feeding.
But are there kennels in this place?
I'm a cage-free facility.
So there's no kennels, so where would they put him?
Well, a gate, something that separates them while they're eating or
how do you,
not feed them.
I guess because your assumption is that while they're eating is a more dangerous time than while they're playing and roughhousing. And tell me how it happened. What happened here?
Basically, it was dinner time. The dogs were being fed. I spaced the food bowls far enough apart where I was comfortable nothing was going to happen. They were about between 4 and 5 feet apart.
How many dogs were you taking care of at once?
At that time, there was 3.
Okay.
I put the food bowls down. I was standing. I was watching, and they were eating. And then all of a sudden, I heard a growling. I looked down, and Rooster was all the way over at the other dog's food bowl, and I saw the other dog go for him.
Okay, so you're not staring at them while they're feeding.
I mean, I was standing there. I was within their feet, but I don't.
Right. So and you notice it. How long is the growling going on before you separate?
Not even 5 seconds. My left hand pushed the dog that bit Rooster off, and Rooster was in my right arm.
Okay. So how do you find where the injury was?
I immediately walked him to the back. I put him on my grooming table, and I started examining him and looking at him.
Did you
and
see
feeling
anything
him.
on the neck?
And I saw on
the back,
top, on his back, that
Wait, I'm sorry, you just went like this. Is it on the back of the dog down here or on the neck?
No, on the back of his neck, between the shoulder blades.
Okay, is that what the employee showed you?
Yes.
Okay, go on.
So basically, I saw that he did have, a puncture, a tooth mark, and I took peroxide, I took cotton ball, I cleaned it really well. I checked the dog for any other, injuries anywhere. I didn't see absolutely nothing. I put the dog down, I was watching him. Within 5 minutes, his tail was wagging, he was running around, playing with all the other dogs again, and that was it. I thought he was fine.
Did you notify her?
This happened Monday night at dinner time. I knew she was picking Rooster up Tuesday morning, and I knew she was driving from North Florida.
So you didn't want to upset her?
So I said, you know what, there's no reason getting her
right.
upset. If there's nothing, to get her upset about, we'll just, let her know, and I'll show what happened when she comes to pick the dog up.
Apparently there was something to get upset about because she ended up with vet bills to the tune of $1,200. So what say you about that?
Well, first of all, I didn't hear, once she took the dog home, I thought everything was fine. We didn't hear anything till Saturday.
Okay, so what day did she take the dog home?
Tuesday.
That's
So
not
Wednesday,
true.
Thursday, Friday, Saturday.
You
Yes.
took the dog to the vet on Saturday, October 15th. So you picked up the dog October 11th, and 4 days later, the infection needs to be treated.
I waited 4 days because I came back Tuesday night, Wednesday and Thursday. It was just like bothering him a little bit, the neck, but it was just a lump. So like I said, I thought it was, just something that had to do with he was play biting another dog. But then when it came time to Saturday, I said, I can't wait anymore because he's not right.
So when did you notice he wasn't right?
He wasn't right from the minute he got home.
Then why didn't you take him to a vet sooner than an emergency situation on Saturday? Emergency vets are a lot more than your own vet.
Right.
You know that. So why didn't you just take him? If he wasn't right, then why aren't you taking the dog to a vet?
Okay, I'll tell you why. Because he has separation anxiety, and any time that he's left out of my sight for more than a day, it can take him up to a week, 2 weeks to come to himself. So I'm thinking that, this is part of his separation anxiety. He's just going to get better with time.
This episode is brought to you by United Airlines. When you want to make the most of your vacation, book with United. They're an airline that cares about your travels as much as you do. United is transforming the flying experience with Bluetooth connectivity, screens, power at every seat, and bigger overhead bins to help fit everyone's bag. And with their app, you can skip the bag check line, get live updates, and more. Change the way you fly. Book your next trip today at united.com.
This episode is brought to you by Amazon Prime. There's nothing sweeter than baking cookies during the holidays. With Prime, I get all my ingredients delivered right to my door, fast and free, no last-minute store trips needed. And of course, I blast my favorite holiday playlist on Amazon Music. It's the ultimate soundtrack for creating unforgettable memories. From streaming to shopping, it's on Prime. Visit Amazon.com/Prime to get more out of whatever you're into.
Let me ask you a question. Do you have contracts that people fill out?
Yes, I do.
All right. Did you submit that into evidence?
Yes, I did.
Okay. Do you have a waiver of liability in it?
Yes, I do.
Okay. I ask that because once you've taken the trouble to have a contract, you usually would put a waiver of liability. By signing this agreement, the owner agrees to hold Wilton Waggarts, its owners, operators, employees, officers, directors, etc., harmless from any damages, losses, or claims arising from any condition or ailment of the undersigned pet. And that's your signature, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Do you have one from this? This is from 6/25/2015. Do you have one from this boarding?
No, once a client signs a contract, it goes into their file.
And you don't make them sign it each and every time?
And every
Otherwise,
time.
you'd have them signing it every day if it's
because
daycare.
some of the clients come for daycare.
I got it. So, but here's the thing. Like, even if this contract with your waiver didn't exist, okay, I would like for you to explain to me what he did wrong.
He wasn't looking after the dogs while they were eating. I mean, he even said on one of his texting, by the time I looked up, a fight ensued.
Yeah, we're going to assume that he's not staring down the dogs while they're eating. I'm going to assume that. But you are boarding your dog in a place where there is no requirement to keep the dog separate from other dogs. And you are gone for how long?
Three nights.
Right. So do you expect him to be staring at all 3 dogs at the same time for the whole 3 days? Right. It's impossible. There's a certain assumption of risk on your part when you decide that you're going to board your dog in a happy place where there's other pets and running around. And because I don't want my dog in a cage for 3 days either. So, but don't you think that you are assuming animals are animals?
Right.
What we do is we don't punish animals for being animals. We punish the humans for negligence. So tell me what he did wrong. He had the dogs together, and they're supposed to be together. You know that they're together. And whether it's feeding time or other time, dogs are, it's not like you boarded your dog in a kennel and he allowed your dog to be around another dog that wasn't supposed to happen. That's not the situation we have. And aside from that, even if I were to find negligence on his part, you sign a waiver. But I don't even need to get to the waiver because I don't find negligence on his part.
Okay, here's my thing.
Yeah.
Does a waiver just absolve you altogether of any reasonable...
No, you can have a waiver, and you can there's things you can waive and things you can't. Gross negligence you could never waive. If you decided to have dog fighting or something, you can't waive gross negligence. I have to be honest with you, I don't even get to the contract. Because in a situation like this, we all know when we are boarding... Did you even know the other dogs?
No.
Right. So
yes.
there is a certain assumption
yes and
of
no.
risk, okay? Are the other dogs your dogs or other people's dogs?
Other people's dogs.
So did she know the other dogs?
No.
No, they're, just, what?
Can I ask a question?
Yes.
Okay, so if dogs are eating, it's okay free-for-all? They can just all eat together?
No, it's not free-for-all. If there had been a vicious attack that resulted in something, now I'm just going to say it. I'm going to say what everyone's thinking. If there had been a vicious attack that went on and he's not even in the room, that would be a liability. That would be, you know what? That's negligence. But I got to tell you that I think that the reason this dog had an infection is because you waited 4 days to take the dog to the vet. I'm very sorry. And the reason it was $1,000-something is because it was a Saturday. You should have taken your dog to the vet as soon as you noticed a difference in the dog. And if it looked good enough for you, it looks good enough for me. Verdict for the defendant.
So the plaintiff does not collect the $1,300 in vet bills from the defendant that she was hoping to get back, or rather get. Let's see what she has to say. Ms. Sullender, you heard the judge. She thinks the problem is you didn't take Rooster to the vet the next day.
Yes.
How do you respond to that?
This dog has separation anxiety, and so anytime I leave him for more than a day, it can take him up to a week to come to himself. So I just thought that was more of the same.
Well, I'm sorry. I gather you're not going to take Rooster there again. Am I right? How is Rooster, by the way? How is he now?
He's better physically, but emotionally, he's still not himself. So I'm hoping still with time he'll get better.
Well, listen, I'm sorry he got injured. No one likes to see a puppy injured, but that's the judge's verdict. You got to live with it.
I respect it. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much. All right. Good enough. All right. Let's talk to the defendant now, who runs a cage-free facility. Very interesting. Mr. Lavasio, how does that work? The dogs are free all the time? Is that about right?
Yes, they are. They're in a big open environment with lots of toys and things to keep them, busy and occupied while they're staying with us.
And you never have any problem with the, quarrels between the dogs?
We do, but like I said, we're close enough to break up any disagreements.
Well, congratulations. You're off the hook.
Well, Doug, you should know these contracts that say that the defendant is not responsible for negligence, they're enforceable. They're very common at parking lots where valets take your car and at car washes. So when you go to a place like that, you should know that even if they're negligent and they damage your property, unless it's gross negligence, they're not responsible.
What was your last unexpected stranger encounter?
Well, you run into people who you either know or you know somebody who knows them everywhere, right? And about 2 or 3 years ago, when we were on that trip, we had this bucket list trip to go to the Galapagos Islands off the coast of Ecuador, right? 2,000 miles from Miami. And we're on this kind of a small ship, and we're going out to sea, and there were only about 20 people from all the four corners of the earth on the ship, maybe 25. And I struck up a conversation with this woman, and next thing I know, she's from Buffalo, and she's from a smaller town where I grew up or was near. And I said, what's your last name? And she told me, and I go, oh my God, you have a brother named Paul? She goes, yeah. I go, I was in your house 50 years ago. How's your mom doing? Stuff. And it was just amazing.
It was.
Really, on the other side of the earth, what are the odds?
Yeah.
So how about you? You probably...
Not really. I mean, there was once a lady that I ran into when I had, maybe I was on the show for a year or two, and so it was a long time ago, and I walk out of a grocery store, and a lady says, Marilyn! And she was so happy.
Gives you a big hug.
Gives me a big hug, so I hug back, do the Cuban air kiss, and she's like... and that moment where you're trying to decide whether to just go with the flow or say, I'm sorry, who are you?
Right.
And I was kind of just going with the flow. She goes, you don't remember me, do you?
Ooh,
oh my God, I felt so bad.
Bad feeling, right? You're
I
like,
felt
oh my
so
God,
rude.
this is
I
a
felt
close friend,
so
and I've
bad.
forgotten. Was a close friend.
I look at her and I'm like, I decided to come clean. I said, I'm so sorry. Help me out.
Right.
Tell me where I know you from. And she goes, we went to 4th grade together.
Fourth grade?
I'm like, are you kidding me?
That's a few years ago.
I said, I don't remember, to bring home penicillin from my children 2 days ago, and you are expecting me to remember from 4th grade?
Streaming December 12th on Peacock. Paris Hilton and Nicole Richie are back.
That's hot. Loves it.
For a show-stopping reunion that will prove putting on an opera is anything but simple.
We're really good at this.
One thing's for sure, they won't be upstaged.
Good to have you back. Come on, we've got a show to do.
Paris and Nicole, The Encore, a 3-part reunion special, streaming December 12th, only on Peacock.
This is the plaintiff, Angelina Thomas. She says she hired the defendant to cater her big 30th birthday party, and the food she tasted prior to hiring him was not the same quality of food he served. That's right, he pulled a fast one on her. She didn't get what she paid for, and she wants a refund because her party was ruined. She's suing for $500, the amount she's owed. This is the defendant, Ernest Jackson. He says he was cooking the food for the plaintiff's party when he received a call from the store he purchased the chicken from saying the food was recalled due to a freezer problem. He didn't want to serve bad chicken and risk people getting sick, so he had to scramble and buy new chicken. Bottom line, he provided delicious food for the plaintiff's party, provided exceptional service, and deserves to be paid in full. He's accused of chickening out.
All parties, please use your right hands.
Welcome back to the People's Court. Next case on the docket. The plaintiff says that she hired the defendant to cater her big 3-0, and the defendant served inedible chicken, so she wants her money back. Now, the defendant says he provided a delicious meal to the plaintiff's guests and deserves every penny he was paid. It's the case of chickening out.
Thank you, Douglas.
You're welcome, Your Honor.
Okay. Ms. Thomas.
Hi.
You are suing Fat Daddy-O's Soul Food and Catering for a $500 refund that you want because, according to you, the service that you got was not what you signed up for. Tell me what happened.
So on April the 12th, I reached out to Ernest asking if he could cater my party. And he agreed later on to cater the party. We had to meet up for his food tasting first. And
what kind of party was this?
It was my 30th birthday party. I mean, and I hadn't had a party since I was like 9 since then. So it was a pretty big deal for me.
Okay.
So, so I met with him at a food tasting on the 16th, and the food was amazing. When I tell you, it was the bomb. He had sauteed broccoli with like a garlic butter sauce. The salmon was very delicious with a honey glaze over it. It was pan-seared. It was just amazing. And so I felt comfortable at that time hiring him for my event. He told me that he's been in business over 20 plus years. And so he had a lot of experience in it. So that was another reason why I felt comfortable.
How many people were you having?
80 to 100 people.
And how much was he charging you?
He was charging me $1,500.
Okay. So tell me what happens that night.
Okay, so I was getting my makeup done between like 4:30 and 5 o'clock, and he called me at that time while I was getting my makeup done to tell me about the recall on the chicken. And he said that he had to go with a different vendor. I'm like, okay, so are you going to still be able to provide the service that you said that you can give to me? And he said, yes. Don't worry, I'll just be a little bit late.
What time was he supposed to get there?
He was supposed to get there between 5 and 5:30 with the rest of my other vendors. Everybody knew they had to be there by 5:30, and I explained that to him at the tasting as well because the venue did not give us much time to set up. So I said...
The party was starting at what time?
At 6 o'clock.
Okay.
It was from 6 to 10.
Okay.
And I asked him to be there on time because I provided my guests with a cocktail hour. So I needed the hors d'oeuvres to be there and the wine and champagne.
Tell me about that. Was he providing the wine and champagne?
Yes. During our contract agreement, when I was signing the contract, the day of the contract, we talked about the food that he would be providing, and he also said that he would do wine and champagne on all 13 tables.
1 bottle of wine and 1 bottle of champagne on each table?
On every table.
Okay, but during the cocktail hour, did you have a bartender?
Yes, I did.
Okay. So he wasn't like doing the cocktail hour. That was more for dinner, right? The bottle of wine and the bottle of champagne?
Well, it was supposed to be for the cocktail hour, but they can still have more for dinner.
Okay.
And then he showed up maybe like an hour and a half after I arrived.
What time did he show up?
Between 6:30 and 7.
Okay. Your guests were supposed to start arriving at 6?
Yes.
All right. So he shows up, and tell me how the food was.
The food was not what I received at the tasting. The plate that I received, the chicken was, first of all, a chicken breast. It was supposed to be a leg quarter. And the chicken was hard on the outside, under-seasoned, and then on the inside, it was pink. So also the rice pilaf, it was supposed to be like with some broth on it with vegetables. As it was at the food tasting, he did not present that there.
What did he present?
It was dried rice. And then also he served a sweet potato that was extremely dry with no butter, no brown sugar to coat with it, none of it to dress it.
Had the sweet potato been at the tasting?
No, but he told me this is what he was going to provide for me. We went through the entire list of things that he was going to provide on that day.
And what about the broccoli?
The broccoli was not there. He did not provide it at all.
Did you bring any of this up to him that night?
I told him I am displeased.
That
night. And I told him we'll talk about it after the party. I did not want to get into it that day.
When did the champagne and the wine arrive?
That arrived about an hour and a half before my party was over.
So when he came, he didn't have the champagne and the wine?
No, it was not presented on the tables at all. So then I told him that I was displeased about that as well. And I was not pleased about the string beans. It was supposed to be fresh. It was like canned. Our skewers was very, to me, cheap looking. Because
what made them cheap looking?
It was like some really thick cheeses and something that you can get at Aldi's. And so also with the sliders, the beef and chicken sliders, instead of him getting slider buns, he cut out breading to put on the sliders. It was very distasteful looking. So on the day of the party, I told him I was not going to get into it. So after that, I called him literally the day after, and I explained to him my rundown, what I was displeased of. And I said, as compensation, can you please provide me $500 of the $15 that I paid you because I did not feel like that you gave me the service you told me that you could at my tasting. So then he says, well, I told you when I started this that I was not going to receive much profit from it. I just wanted my name out there. I said, you've been in business 20 plus years. Your name should be out there already. And you gave me a fee. I didn't tell you how much to charge me. So
who's the lady with you?
This is my best friend, Tiffany, since 5th grade.
Was Tiffany there at the party?
She was at the party and the food tasting.
So, were you at the food tasting?
Yes.
How was the food tasting?
The tasting was good. The food was really good.
It was odd to me that he came to the tasting without everything that she asked for. And even the preparation at the tasting was different from what she asked for, but we ended up liking it. So she swapped that out for the party. But then when we got to the party, it wasn't what she asked for again.
Okay, so you agree with her that it wasn't what you had tasted at the food tasting?
Yes.
How was it different?
First off, the chicken that she asked for was different. Those pieces that we got at the party were big. They were what some would say raw or undercooked in the middle. The salmon that we got at the tasting was supposed to be pan-seared with a glaze on it. I tried the salmon at the party. It was dry, and I'm a salmon eater, so it appeared to me that it was like baked. There was no glaze. The sweet potatoes that he forgot at the tasting were there. At the tasting, I actually asked him how they would be prepared and served. And he said, oh, like traditional sweet potatoes, how we would normally eat them with butter, brown sugar, that type of thing. And when we got there, they were like big sweet potatoes cut in half in a pan.
Okay. Let me hear from you, Mr. Jackson.
She told me, we talked about the party and everything. So I asked her, I said, well, how much is your budget? Do you have any ideas for your menu and how many people? So she said, well, I only can afford 1,500 at the moment. I said, okay, how many people? She said, about 80 to 100 people. I said, okay. I said, well, this is what I can do. Because I know you and you're a nice young lady and everything, I will do this event for you. I won't make no profit out of it because due to COVID, it was bad for the hospitality industry. So I need to get my name back out here. So I said, I would do this and don't worry about no profit.
You said that to her before she hired you?
Yes.
Do you have a contract with her?
Yes, ma'am.
May I see it?
There you go.
So, so the menu are beef sliders, chicken sliders, barbecue meatballs, antipasto skewers, garden salad, broccoli with garlic butter, sautéed smoked green bean, rice pilaf, baked sweet potato, roasted garlic chicken quarters, white and dark, salmon with honey lemon sauce, sweet red and champagne. And what happens that day? What happened?
When I was prepping to start cooking the food and everything, I had got a call from the place that I had bought my chicken from. The lady explained to me that they had a mishap at the business where the power went out. So any food that was bought, they had to return that food back. So I went and got some more chicken so I can be able to cook. The thing was, it wasn't supposed to be a leg quarter. It was supposed to be a whole chicken cut into four.
Okay.
So when I did that, I was able to get there on time and get the chicken seasoned and prepped.
Did you serve quarters like the contract says, or did you serve chicken breast?
I served chicken breast and chicken quarters. It was a whole quarter. It was basically you take the chicken, split it down the middle, and then you
know, it just says roasted garlic chicken quarters. That's all it says. It doesn't say some people will have this and some people will have that.
No. So
all right. So and according to you, it was all breast?
A lot of it was breast, and he did have some quarters.
Okay. So what happened though? You got there how late? You got there how late? You were supposed to be there between 5 and 5:30. What time did you get there?
When I first made it there, it was about a little bit after 5:30, I think.
So you got there on time?
Yeah, I got there on time. She wasn't there when I got there. So I left my service there and had them passing the hors d'oeuvres out while I went to eat the rest of the food. And I made it back with the rest of the food. She had just made it there when I had made it there. So I set the food up. I tempted again.
I think she had been there before that. But so you drove there and what, dropped off staff and hors d'oeuvres?
I dropped the staff, hors d'oeuvres, and half of the food.
Okay.
I went back to my home to get the rest of the food.
How far away is your home from the venue?
About 5 minutes from the venue.
Okay. So you go back, and then you show up at what time after that?
So I showed up like about 6:10, 6:20, I believe.
Okay. So then how was the food? Because I'm hearing from two people that, you know, what you cooked for one person or two people was mighty tasty, but what you cooked for 80 was dry.
It was not dry. I have a video showing when I was cooking, I cooked the food.
Okay. Okay, they're right on the sweet potatoes. They're just like kind of thrown in there. There's nothing to...
So...
But you're, I looked at the salmon. The salmon had juices on it or some kind of sauce. Mm-hmm. The chicken, there was both white and dark meat, and it also had... So I don't know how it tasted. I can't taste it on the video, right. But I can see what is going on. Now, what happened? You forgot the broccoli?
Yeah. Yeah,
Okay,
I think I
you
did.
forgot the broccoli.
I think I did.
You didn't bring
forget,
the
but
wine
I
end of
put-
it, but it was exceptional service.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
Well, to me, the service was exceptional. You know, so like for instance, like at the beginning, when her fiance came to me about her food, he said, "Can you fix her plate?" I said, "Are you sure you want her plate right now? Because she's dancing and having a good time being with her friends and everything." He said, "She fit sit down and eat." So I said, "Okay." So I fixed their plate, and then I waited a second. I said, "Let me make a video of the food," because I forgot to make my video. And in the video, that's not capture her dancing because she never sat down when he got the food. She didn't sit down until 45 minutes later. So her food wound up getting cold.
But she's not asking for $500 back because her food was cold.
Well, that's what she explained to me.
She's saying that it was undercooked, and
Well,
she's
I
saying
temp-
that it didn't taste like the tasting.
Well-
Did she complain that night? Was she upset that night?
So she was upset that night. She was telling me that her food was cold. That's what she was upset about. And she asked me about the champagne and the wine. The young lady that I had to bring me the champagne and the wine, she did not show up. So what I did, I went to the store myself and got the champagne line. And the champagne and the wine was not for wine tasting or anything like that. It wasn't. She didn't say it was gonna be for dinner. She just said that.
Yeah, but she didn't expect you to come with it an hour before the party's over. Like that was, in fact, you didn't even realize that you forgot the broccoli and forgot the wine and forgot the champagne. I wouldn't call this exceptional.
Well, I didn't forget about the wine and champagne. I just knew that the young lady was bringing it.
Yeah, but when
And
was she going to bring it? The party was. It should have been on the tables before people got there, or when people are getting there, and it wasn't on the tables till when?
It didn't. So I went to the store and got it. That was like
Right.
about an hour after I got there.
So you forgot the broccoli, you forgot the champagne, you forgot the wine. You remedied that by bringing the champagne and the wine mighty late. According to her, you were late. Were servers there with the hors d'oeuvres for the cocktail hour?
No. He brought them with him. When he came, they came. So they were all late.
Do you think she's entitled to anything back? Because wait, hold on one second. It's not her fault or my fault if you truly quoted this with no profit. That's your fault because that was something you decided to do. So I don't care how much profit you made or didn't make. That was your choice when you quoted it at whatever you quoted it at. Here is my question. If she is quoted $1,500 and you show up late, you forget stuff that's on the items, is she entitled to anything back in your estimation?
In my estimation, I don't think she's required. She should get anything back for some fact. One, to say that the food wasn't appealing, the food was appealing. And the food that's supposed to be hot, I tempt the food before I even serve the food to get the temperature on there, to make sure there is a right protocol. And about the wine.
All right, I'm going to order a refund. It's not going to be quite as much as you're asking for. I'm going to order a $250 refund in favor of the plaintiff, because I think that there were things that you forgot or you did wrong, just like you feel that there were things that you forgot or you did wrong. But I don't believe that a 33% refund is appropriate under the circumstances. So $250, verdict for the plaintiff.
Thank you.
The plaintiff wanted $500. She's only getting $250. She may not be happy with that. And you're not happy with it either, are you?
I'm not happy with it, but, you know, I did forget some things.
Obviously, yeah. I mean, she was very disappointed. She missed the broccoli. She didn't like the cut of chicken. Although I would think chicken breast would be preferable.
Well, the only reason...
but if it's cold, that's no good.
You're right, but it wasn't cold. It was hot.
All right. Well, good luck to you. All right. Thank you very much. Sorry you had a disappointed customer this time. All right. Very good. All right. Ms. Thomas, if you'll step out here. I mean, I know you were very good at describing. Step over here a little bit. You know, you were unhappy with the food and everything. But in the chicken breast, wouldn't that be the best to have?
No, not cooking for that large amount of people, because it'll take a great deal of time to cook that for it to be done. And then he's been pathologically lying this whole time. My family, all of them were displeased. They were calling me several times, even days after the party, telling me how displeased they were about the food.
So all in all, was the party really a bust?
For the food standpoint, yes, but everything else was amazing. Like I said, I hadn't had a party since I was like 9 years old, so I was enjoying seeing all of my family there, just having a good time, and that was really what it was all about.
What's it like being 30?
Beautiful.
All right, thank you very much.
My knees hurt, though.
Okay, very good. Okay. Well, she's semi-happy. How about that, Harvey? What are your thoughts?
Look, Doug, the judge's calculation was not precise, But this is what the judges talked about over and over, doing rough justice to make sure that the party who wins gets what they roughly deserve. Small claims court judges can do that.
I often hear you say that your mother was overprotective and chaperoned you. As a result of this, are you as overprotective of your girls, or do you remember what it was like and are easier on them and give them a little more freedom?
Well, if my eldest was here,
she would say that we kept her locked in a room and beat her with an SAT review book to make her study more or something, right? You'd say something
I would
like
say that as we have 3 daughters, as we went down in the pecking order, we got a little looser and a little looser,
Definitely.
as is typically the case with most parents. So she got the brunt of the strictness, and I don't think I was anywhere near as strict as my mother. That
doesn't even compare. That's why our oldest is really tough, but not quite as tough as you. But anyways, when I was a kid, you could, ride your bike and disappear for hours at a time.
Oh yeah, no, we didn't do that.
It was very different. So, but nowadays, I don't know.
I think I was actually, in that regard, I was definitely more strict than my parents were, because I remember playing outside and being outside for hours.
Right.
And she wasn't always watching me while I was outside. I was paranoid because I was a prosecutor and I knew what could happen, and I wouldn't let the kids walk down the block until they were a lot older.
That was a consequence of having parents who were prosecutors, because it's like we didn't have to look for monsters. We knew that every person that you looked at
is a potential monster trying to take my child.
Right. And they're presumptively bad until we say otherwise.
Right.
So I guess they had to suffer the brunt of that.
Yeah.
But you weren't at the dance like your mom was, separating kids.
Make room for Jesus.
Right.
No, I wasn't
pushing
doing
kids
that.
apart when they got too close, slow dancing, right?
No.
So it was a little bit different, not quite as overprotective, right?
Right.